No, not another Thomas Tuchel video. Premier League football's back. Let's go on a loop of the stadium and preview Arsenal against Bournemouth. Welcome back again. It feels like an absolute age since club football was being played again. But the Premier League's back this weekend, and the evening fixture on the Saturday is the amazing, unbeaten Arsenal FC away at Bournemouth. Yes, it has been a hot minute since Mikel Arteta and his players got to train together and play together in what has been a fantastic start to the Premier League season for the Gunners. We'll mention it for every week that it's still apparent, but Arsenal are one of only two sides in the Premier League who go into this game week 8, as an unbeaten team. It's Arsenal and Man City. I wonder where the two of them will end up at the end of the season. And as we take a fine loop of this Emirates stadium, right outside my house actually, I'm quite used to doing this, I look at it and I think, who is actually going to be fit for this Arsenal team? Another international window and another series of injuries, but it's yet to be determined how many of the players will take to the pitch on Saturday. At the top of the pitch, the big news is our front three are all injured, or are they? Kai Havertz didn't play for Germany with an apparent ankle injury, I believe it was. I think he'll be fine. Martinelli had to leave the Brazil camp with his injury. I think he'll be fine. And Bukayo Saka, after playing 45 minutes in a pretty drab affair in one of Carsley's last games, is also injured. I think he'll be fine too. Every week I say it, Martin Ødegaard will be out once more. So if you think about it, there's potentially a top three out, and Ødegaard behind them also being out. And then in the defence, to make up that injury list, we have potentially Jurrien Timber, Ben White, Tomiyasu, and I think there's one other. Yes, how could I forget? Zinchenko. I think that's what this Arsenal defence has done to me. There's so many players now, I sometimes miss when an obvious player is out injured. The point being, there are a lot of injuries in this side. The other thing is, between the sticks, Neto is obviously on loan from Bournemouth and therefore won't be playing. But with Tommy Setford injured, it looks like 16-year-old Jack Porter's back on a team sheet again, albeit in a subs position behind a very capable and good international windowed David Raya. Absolutely blinding summer sun getting through my eyes. So what can we say about Arsenal and Bournemouth? If the fixtures-wise, it's largely a history of Arsenal winning, let's be honest about it. In our last 3 games against Bournemouth, we've managed to score 3 goals each time, give them an absolute thumping, including that classic at the Emirates where Reece Nelson got a 97th minute winner. Cue that joy. Shame it didn't end up in a trophy for us, I guess. But for Bournemouth, it's a largely different story. For a team that started off well and unbeaten in their first 4 games, they've actually shipped 3 losses out of their last 4. They find themselves mid-table, or even below that. I think they're in 13th place. And if I'm honest, Iraola's got a big need to kind of turn it around down there, because before you know it, Bournemouth might find themselves in a relegation battle that I don't think anyone saw coming. I think the real worry coming out of any international window is seeing whether the team can come back with the same fluidity they had before it. Arsenal find themselves happily at the top of the table if they win this game, with an earlier kick-off than Liverpool and Man City. And it's been a while since we were at the top of the tree and doing well. There is something that's lacking in a kind of clutch sense for this Arsenal team. Although we don't lose many points, whenever we get the opportunity to stretch our lead at the top of the table, we seem to choke a little bit. And I think this Bournemouth fixture could be tougher than it maybe would have been had that international break not happened. Bournemouth weren't in form. Arsenal were starting to find their feet, especially in front of goal, with the likes of Havertz and Saka really turning it on in a special way. And even Martinelli coming back to form. 2 goals and an assist in his 2 games before the end of the international break would have put him in fine fettle to just kick on. And I really think if those front 3 do click, we're in absolute business. There's not too much many other Premier League teams can do about it. There is still this sense from many fan bases, both Arsenal and beyond, that it feels like we've just not quite clicked as a team. We've kind of not taken that handbrake off, and we don't look as fluid as the likes of, well, even Chelsea, if I'm honest, in front of goal. In fact, for 2 teams that find themselves on 17 points out of 21, Arsenal and Man City have both been a little underwhelming. It'll be interesting to see what happens in this brief little window of club football, both in Europe and in the Premier League, before the next international break in mid-November. What a funny season it is to have this broken up into so many parts, whether it's club football, international football and the Thomas Tuchel story, or even having just some congestion fixtures over that December-Christmas period. The big hope for Arsenal is that one of their new players can finally fit in again. Mikel Merino will be in line to make his proper set of Premier League fixtures. He's come off the bench a couple of times, but in reality, if what he did for Spain over that international window is possible at Arsenal, then the fact that Ødegaard's out I don't think will matter too much. There is a world in where we play Partey and Rice and Merino and completely dominate the games in midfield. Even with Jorginho coming off the bench, possession should be higher, and you should see this midfield really getting under the skin of a lot of other teams. And I think especially against Bournemouth, if Merino can get the time and space he needs to adapt to the Premier League, you'll really see a slight change in our statistics overall. The only worry in this entire team for me is whether Gabriel Jesus has the cojones to come back and start putting the ball in the back of the net. He is undoubtedly an absolute star, very gifted with the ball at his feet, very good at running, and clearly a mature and level-headed player in the dressing room. But what he's really lacking is a little like Martinelli was, the ball in the back of the net and a couple more assists. I think with Havertz's injury, Arteta will take the opportunity to rotate with Jesus, either bringing him on as an early sub or starting him, depending on how fit Havertz is. And I really think it's time for Gabriel Jesus to kind of kick on, otherwise he will find his Arsenal career slightly withering away. There is a lot of people already wanting another striker, a proper number 9. But Havertz has managed to keep that at bay. It's not been because of Gabriel Jesus. So I do wonder if we will get one more player. It won't surprise any viewers on this channel that my prediction is for an Arsenal win. But I think in all honesty, Arsenal will find it slightly harder than they would have done before that international break. I'm picturing Bournemouth getting close to getting a goal, but I don't think they will. I think it'll be an Arsenal 2-0 win and probably a late second goal out of that. It's not as easy as it used to be in the Premier League, and I think some of these teams are really quite well drilled, including Bournemouth. So I'll go for an Arsenal 2-0 win. As for this run of fixtures that are coming up, the really big one that will be on the horizon that the players will want to put away from their mind is that Liverpool home game a week on Sunday. I think that is where you'll get a true measure of whether this Arsenal team are either going unbeaten, shock horror, can it actually be done, not sure, but we'll see. And secondly, whether they really do have the ability to kind of get that lead before Christmas and kick on in ways that we've seen maybe Man City do it in the past. For now though, if you have enjoyed this preview, please do give it a thumbs up and a subscribe and leave a comment on what you think the score would be. I do like interacting with all of you. But in the meantime, wherever you're enjoying your football this weekend, do enjoy it, be a good human, do good things. Peace.